This is just a different view of the memorial to the sailors in the United States. And you can see here the memorial, it's right here. And then with the eagle in Battery Park, a little closer view of the eagle. There are more names on it. But then also, this is where you have a lot of the great buildings in Lower Manhattan. We saw this. And again, we are in Battery Park in Lower Manhattan. It's the very southern tip of Manhattan, more on the west side of the southern tip. And here we're actually a little bit more inside Battery Park. We were just looking at the monument for the sailors in Lower Manhattan. That's those big slabs of concrete that you see. But this is more inside Battery Park. Chance to see what it looks like. Isn't it amazing seeing this? It's just a wonderful, wonderful place for everyone to be. All the trees. So this is one of the great things about New York City, in that they have concrete buildings, steel buildings everywhere. So when you see the contrast of a park and the concrete buildings, it's really amazing. It makes you really enjoy the city even more because you have this ability to enjoy nature, where at the same time you're around a lot of businesses. And so everything works out. Now, here we're looking north at the various buildings in Lower Manhattan. And again, this is just to get a little bit more perspective of what's going on. Chance to take a tour of Battery Park without being in Battery Park. Chance to take a tour of the wonderful buildings that are here without actually visiting the buildings. Isn't this amazing? Now, and right next to it is a heliport, right over here. Like if you look straight ahead, and that heliport is used by many, many people, including very important people, because from that heliport, you can actually go up the highway on the east side of Manhattan and then have easy access to the rest of Manhattan. So it's a very interesting situation. And all along here, that's Water Street, that empty space that you're seeing. And that allows, well, there are a lot of very interesting buildings there. So a lot of people really enjoy that. It's just amazing seeing everything here. This is the other side of Battery Park. This is, as you left the park, you would see this. And this is State Street. This is where all the big buildings are and where the different other parks are. You can see how much building there is here in the southern part of Manhattan. And you can see right there, that's Battery Park. That's where we left. And there's another area called the South Street Seaport, that as we turn, as we go to the right, we'll be looking more north, but the South Street Seaport is right nearby. It's about 5 more blocks to the north of here. It's really amazing scenery. Aren't these buildings incredible when you see them? That's why people really enjoy coming downtown. And for many, many years, many people used to work downtown, and still do, but now more people live downtown. Now you can see those set of buildings in front of us, and we'll just zoom in there. Now that's ripe for development. A lot of times what happens in New York is people sit on buildings waiting to accumulate the right parcel to put up a tall building. And usually they have to wait 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, generations even, before they can accumulate a size big enough to put up a nice, tall office building. And that's usually what's expected in this area, because you can see all around the big office buildings like this one and the other ones. They require a lot of ground space, so just one of those buildings alone wouldn't suffice. But in comparison to that, if you go to 57th Street, because land in Midtown is so much more expensive than downtown, someone will take two of those buildings and put up a 50-story tower. Here in Lower Manhattan, they don't really want to do that because the value is not there to put up a 50-story tower with just two buildings. They would probably require 3 or 4 buildings to have enough space to put up like a 20-story or 30-story tower, just because the people downtown, they're not so big on the super high towers, except of course for the World Trade Center. But in general, they prefer buildings that are not so high as in Midtown. Now, we're on Broad Street, towards the very end of Broad Street, and that big building there that we're seeing, that big brown building, was the former Goldman Sachs headquarters. They recently moved more toward the Hudson River, but they really wanted to have a newer headquarters. And all these other buildings here are the older buildings, but people still enjoy visiting the older buildings. Now, there's one older building here that's a federal landmark. That's Francis Tavern. And that's that building right there that has the yellowish bricks. That's where George Washington once stayed, and a number of other famous people once stayed. And if you look all the way down this street, this is where the New York Stock Exchange is. You can't quite see it, but as you keep going down this road, that's where the New York Stock Exchange will be, and it keeps continuing. So it's a very interesting area. Many people really enjoy being around here. It's a great place to be.